Asleep.
So anything that y'all that we always ask, anything y'all don't want to talk about? Oh, we live.
Nah, we good.
All right. Well, salam alaikum. I ain't know we live. I guess I missed that. What up, though? Salam alaikum. Welcome to Allah. Welcome to Good Vibes of the Good Brothers. We have an awesome, super awesome, and extremely super awesome guest. I don't call them power couple. I call them powerful partners. They build it up from the mud together. They strong with it. You know what I'm saying? And now they out here like the Muslim Carters. We got we got Dr. Noor, Jihan, Abdul Haqq, and my brother Masood, Abdul Haqq. Alhamdulillah. Are both of y'all from Atlanta?
No.
Nah, I'm from Atlanta. She's from here, Oklahoma.
Said no, like not at all.
She said, right. Oh man, she said emphatically. Oh, why would I be from Atlanta?
Yeah, if you meet anybody, most men that I meet in Oklahoma, it's because of a woman. That's usually how a man ends up.
So they got to go
I live in Columbus too.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, Bismillah Rahim, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, Rahman Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, ihdinas siratal mustaqim, siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim, Ameen. Welcome, Good Vibes with Good Brothers, episode 20, I think. Somewhere around there.
There's 19.
Is it 19? Oh, yeah, that. Thank you all for joining with us. It's about to be a absolutely wonderful day. It's sunny outside. Sun is popping. So you know my melanin need to get out there and enjoy it. So we about to have an awesome guest that I'm so happy and super, super excited to have on here. The man of the hour right now, my man Masood. He wrote The Giants in Our Midst. What do we call that? Series?
Well, it's about to be a book. So he called it a book
now, but what was it called?
Series.
Yeah, series. In Black History Month. And his wife, who is basically the real inspiration behind Giants in the Midst, which he probably don't want to say, but I'm gonna say it for him. Because I think he said he told me, not verbatim, but he did tell me, like, man, I woke up one day and my wife's the first person I saw, and I was like, you know what? That was it. And I was like,
Here we go.
It's the Giant in my midst. So why would I not act on that? And I was like, you know what? It's the inspiration went from just his wife to everybody that he started and seen as people of inspiration that the people need to know. And from there, he created an entire cult following. And that quick. But people say his writing is dynamic. So obviously it was going to pop off anyway. So alhamdulillah, we got my man Masood Abdul Haqq again and Dr. Noor Jihan. Abdul Haqq, welcome to Good Vibes with Good Brothers. Salam alaikum rahmatullah.
I appreciate you having me, man. Having us.
Yes. And I also I'll be remiss to not introduce the founder of Brownages, the co-founder of Brownages himself again, another.
It was all me.
Oh yeah, okay. Where's she at? So we
get here right now.
We can slap it in the back of the head. Don't say that. Like
I can say what I want right now.
Co-founder of Brownages, my brother, like literally my brother, my man's 100 grand. He don't like to be called it, but Imam Rashid Mahdi, the great imam of the greater Midwest, Ohio, is in the building. Alhamdulillah, he's my co-host for today.
Appreciate the opportunity. I'm sad that I don't get to see Dr. Halim because I'm always looking forward to his insights, but I'm glad I was able to fill in his his shoes. So let's do it.
Alhamdulillah, keep Dr. Halim in your du'as, please. He is extremely under the weather, but alhamdulillah, inshallah, he's getting better. So just make sure you keep him in y'all du'as. Well, again, welcome. How y'all doing?
Good, man. Good. Sunday, man. It's still a work day for us usually.
What y'all be doing?
Well, she runs Clara Community Health Center, which is the clinic attached to the masjid that I'm the chairman of, Masjid Mu'min here in Oklahoma City. And they provide healthcare for people who are uninsured. And they do that twice a month, trying to ramp up to a little bit more. That's going on right now. You know, and then we've got a board meeting later on, so I got to prepare for that stuff. And I like to try to plan out the week at our clinic, Peace of Mind Pediatrics, on Sundays, and make sure that everything's running smoothly, because especially right now we're in the process of expanding, and so you know, a lot going on, but you know.
I'm actually going live at 2.
That's right.
3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, I saw that flyer. It was almost like a conflict of schedule, but I sucked it up and just, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
I got a question though.
I planned that, and he had committed to you, so
I
was like, "What? Okay," and I got the clinic. Okay, I just left the clinic, and alhamdulillah, we have some.
Oh, and there's Quran class. That's why we have to. That's why we have an hour and a half, because I have a Quran class on Sunday.
I want you all to introduce yourself to those who don't know you. We kind of allow the guests to just, you know, give a small introduction to themselves, introduction of themselves to the people, and you know, so that the people get to know a little bit of their background, so you can give a formal introduction. I'm gonna let the Dr. Jihan go first. Dr. Noor Jihan go first.
Yes, definitely. If you hear any background noise, that's our kids playing. So alhamdulillah. So I'm Dr. Noor Jihan Abdul Haqq. I'm a board certified pediatrician. I am originally from Oklahoma City, right outside Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I went to Spelman College. I went to Morehouse School of Medicine for medical school. I completed my pediatric residency at Morehouse School of Medicine, but also had the privilege of working at the 3 children's hospitals there, and also did some things at Grady, if anybody's familiar with Atlanta. And so that's where I, you know, very fond of where I was able to train, got to have a lot of experience. I worked a lot. I've done work in Barbados. I've done work in Dominican Republic. I've worked in Costa Rica, Mexico, in terms of just learning more about medicine and other people's cultures and how they practice medicine in other places. As he mentioned, I opened Peace of Mind Pediatrics in 2015, and then 2015, and Brother Masood came and joined me, and has been managing it since I think 2016 now, right? And right, something like that. I don't even know, something like that for a while, and so now we're opening a second location, inshallah. And opened up Clara Community Health Center, which is a clinic for the uninsured, named after 2 of our matriarchs of our community, Clara Looper, who was an educator in Oklahoma, and Sister Clara Muhammad, who those who do not know, she was the wife of Elijah Muhammad. She was far more than just the wife of Elijah Muhammad, was an educator, and really helped to develop schools for Muslim youth, which are still in existence to this day. So we are honoring those 2 women with the name of our clinic, and we're open first and third Sundays of every month. And also, I do a lot of other stuff, but that's kind of me.
That's man, in a nutshell, right? That's what they breed up there in Oklahoma City.
No.
Said no.
That's what my family breeds. So, like, if you were to meet my family all over the country, that's what you're gonna meet. My family breeds that.
Say, what's out there? Cowbells and Spurs. Don't do them like that, man.
We got black people out here. It's just different.
What they be doing?
What do they do?
No, it's flat. Go ahead, Russell. You go give us a little short.
Masood Abdul Haqq. You know, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, in Imam Jamil Al-Amin's community. You know, I was a part of Our World Shirt Company. A lot of people might know me from that. You know, we kind of made some waves in the urban fashion industry in the early 2000s with some things like that, and it kind of let me get into the hip hop world and the fashion world in a way, and find my voice as a writer and as a like a copywriter, a business writer, spokesperson, that sort of thing. And when I left there, I began to do that on my own. And I also was in the hotel industry. I used to manage hotels and got into the customer service side of business that way, and kind of understanding corporate America. And I used those experiences to help develop young people who don't necessarily have the wherewithal or the means, the resources in order to become productive members of society. And a lot of at-risk youth is a passion of mine, because I was once considered to be an at-risk youth. So I try to use various platforms that I have to show and advocate and give resources to people who came from similar backgrounds. And so, as a consultant, I always try to make sure that we're focusing on raising the level of social capital for people and organizations that are in similar situations that I found myself in. I met Jihan in Atlanta because she came there for Spelman. She went there to Spelman College and stayed there for Morehouse School of Medicine. And just being involved in the community, going to a lot of the same events, being involved in similar community service activities. We kept running into each other, and she met all the criteria, and I convinced her that I've met hers. I guess, I don't know. But,
you said she met all the criteria. Hold on.
Yeah, she met
all the criteria. There we go. Let's start from right there.
Yeah.
You know your worth, right? I like when a brother do that. So you know your worth, and you so when you was checking her out, you was, as time progressed, you was checking off little things off your list, like, oh yeah, that's it. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, we got married when we were 27, which is young in the rest of the world, but
the Muslim world.
Oh, the Muslim time.
The Muslim world, that's old. Like, you know what I mean? You had to start getting intentional. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold up, what are we really doing here? So, I had I had a taste of marriage when I was way too young for it, and it was like that. You know what I mean? Like when I was 21, just trying to go through the motions of marriage, right? Didn't really know what I was getting myself into, and that lasted about 5 months. 3 of those months was that, you know what I mean? So
when the Muslim marriages, okay.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm not doing that. Right? I'm not doing that again. And I realized that I didn't just want the standard, cook, clean, hop on one leg type of wife, bark like a dog. I wanted a partner, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I need a partner. I need somebody who I could build with, somebody who I could speak to and talk to and bounce ideas off of, somebody who was strong enough to check me when I'm on some BS, you know what I mean? Because, that happens, you know what I mean? So I was like, for the next 4, 5, 6 years, I was just working, grinding, really just keeping my head down, getting swole, you know what I'm saying? And
getting swole. So what that means, was working out?
Yeah. Just trying to. And then some people say criteria, like, this is what I want. You know what I mean? This is what I want. And then becoming like purposeful in who I pursue. And so there was definitely criteria, was definitely a checklist. And like I said, she was the first one. I was like, she's at the top of the list.
So was you jockeying?
What was the line you used?
Oh, ain't no lines. I ain't using. I don't know. I ain't nothing.
They call him smooth down in the A.
Well, you saying what lines that he used to give me?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, you do. It's not specific lines. No, I got the Facebook messages. You all want me to?
Yeah, please. Okay, let's talk about that.
We can cover everything. Well, we're gonna read. No, but no, he was like he's laughing. He's a wordsmith. So it may not be this is the line, but he's a wordsmith. He knows exactly what he's saying.
Poetic.
It's intentional. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, like I was pursuing it. Like we would see each other at a lot of different events, and I would speak and stuff like that. But you got to do your homework, your research, and part of it on her social media looked like she might have been in a relationship. So I didn't know, I didn't want to come in too hot, that sort of thing. But main thing is just really, people want to know that you observe and you see them, right? Like if I can point out details about you that you think are your own, you know, like nobody else is peeping game. And you know what I mean? Like it don't even have to be like no line or nothing. It's just like, I love your posture in this photo that nobody liked. Like this, she got.
Yeah, I ain't never heard that one. I ain't never used that one.
1 million likes on this other one.
Hold on, rewind.
I ain't never.
And I'm like, that one right there.
I like your posture.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But the detail, right? It's like the detail. So being able to turn something that's overlooked into something that's special, you know, I think that was key for me.
Was there a particular moment when it was like she is the one?
What's that?
Was there a particular moment when it was like, okay, she's the one?
Like what song that hit you?
Yeah, I mean it happened real quick, man. It was like what? It was like
2 weeks.
Like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay, all right.
Like late December 2008, right? Like so we started. I think she finally.
No, it was. Oh yes. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So she was in a little situation or whatever. When she finally got out of it, and she tried to like curb me, be like, I need some time to myself. I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. Which you know what I mean. But we found out that, and we went to a restaurant like for our first date or whatever, and then when we left the restaurant, like I thought she was following me because every turn I was making, she was making it too. And I was like, why is this sister following me? Like
stalkers, I understand, brother.
Right.
Yeah,
I thought the same.
Happy to the best of us, player.
Then I slowed down, and then he started following me.
Yeah, so I was thinking that, you know, but it turned out we lived like 2 blocks away from each other. You know, my run, I used to run around this park, and I would I'd run past her building like every day. And so I was like, oh man, we close. And then we had a good little rapport first date. We kind of dressed similar and all this stuff. And I was like, what in the world is going on here? Right?
No, what happened? Part of
let's see her side of the story. I want to.
What had happened?
No, it's interesting because he acts like she was in the shindig. No, I hadn't been talking to somebody for a really long time. It wasn't like, oh no. So that's why I was like, I'm good. You know, this has been a long time or whatever. But this is funny. It's a funny story. That person hated Thai food. Okay. I love Thai food. Like I literally went to Thailand and took a Thai cooking course. Like that's how much I like Thai food. And so this is before that person as well. But I was like trying to play around. And so I was like, well, what do you want to eat? And he was like, Thai. I was like, oh, this might work. And so when we went, like the stuff he was ordering, I was like, he really likes Thai food. He probably don't even remember these things. But I, being the foodie that I am, was like,
I think I ordered Masaman curry duck.
Duck, exactly.
Yeah,
I was like, he didn't get like hot fried rice or something. Like real food, you know, like eat this Masaman with me. But we both had on like brown hats and like all brown. Like that's super random. And so that evening it was, you know, we had a great dinner and things like that. But then afterwards we're talking about music and TV shows and you know, it was just a very, very like great conversation. So that's part of the reason why, you know, I think it stood out and it's very memorable. Like I can't say that, you know, all experiences, you know, are that memorable. And so I think that was part of it. But I was working as a resident. And so I would work nights and he worked nights. And so it's so funny because I'll sometimes go back and look at some of our Facebook conversations. It's like 3 a.m. It looks real suspect.
But the subject matter wasn't though.
Right. No, it was
okay.
The subject matter isn't. It's just the time. Yeah, I was like, why was it 3 a.m.? And I was like, oh yeah, I was working nights.
So by the time
you kept him up.
Obama's inauguration was January 20th, 2009. By that time, it was already like, all right, she's the one. That's 3 weeks from the end of December. So at that point, I told her, like, I think 2 weeks in, I was like, I'd marry you tomorrow. You know what I mean? If it wasn't crazy. So let's find out if we crazy or not. You know what I mean? And I was like, first I need to meet your dad. And she was like, well, my dad's a little different. And I was like, I don't care. Wherever he is, we're going to meet him. We ended up meeting him in Memphis. He was cool. Mom was cool. We did premarital counseling with Imam Nadim, Sulaiman, Ali. And after about 4 sessions with him, you know, he was like, nah, y'all not crazy. So we went ahead and got married in May, like just, the nikah, and then we had the walima, the big one down in September 2009.
Well, that speaks to my theory that a person can figure out if the right person for them within like 2 or 3 weeks.
No.
Off the top, normally that's what they don't know. Normally, men know. Sometimes it be up to the woman. They'll be like, when you go back to that checklist, and every time, the longer it goes, the checks be checking though. Like I'm gonna push off on this one, but anyways, this is an awesome story. So from there, right, y'all got together, and when did y'all realize y'all had the same type of business acumen? Like y'all was relatable, not just in the relationship as far as the love goes, as far as the husband and the wife, but just knowing that y'all gonna be dope business partners as well, because that is inspiring as well.
Well, I don't think it was. We're not similar like that at all. Like, so we complement each other. Like we're not. We have completely different skill sets, so that's why it works, right? Like, I was running hotels, and that's like the epitome of customer service, right? That's like top of the line for customer service, because you work at a tire shop or something like that. Somebody get mad at you, cuss you out. They're gonna get their tire and they're gonna leave. You might not see them for 25,000 miles. You know what I'm saying? They'll be back whenever. Stuff go down in a hotel. That person going up to the room, they coming back and they coming back again. You're gonna see them over the whole week. So you got to get that thing, nip it in the bud. And I was with Hilton Hotel, so they had this like 100% satisfaction guarantee, and it made you really have to beat people to the punch and just make them feel welcome, make them feel like you cared about their experience there. So with that experience, we also noticed that during her job, she worked at this FH.
Yeah, a federally qualified health center.
Yeah, so they were really bottom line driven, and they weren't allowing her to practice the way that she wanted to practice. And she would come home and she would have a lot of complaints about how they wanted her to meet this deadline, meet this, the visits are too short, so on and so forth. And my thing is like, it's only so much I can do in terms of like encouraging you, oh, it's going to be all right. I'm like, all right, look, the only person that's going to treat you the way you want to be treated in the workplace is you. You got to be your own boss. And she hit, so it was like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do it. And it was like, it's just like an encouraging thing, because I know she's dope. I know she's a beast. All I got to do is just kind of like, nah, you can do it. You can do it. I got you. I got you. And, we tried, letting somebody else run the spot for a little bit. They were underqualified, and we were looking around for another person to, do the day-to-day stuff. And after a while, we kind of looked like, hold up, I could just do that. You know what I mean? So we set up my office there. I'm able to help with the hiring and all this, setting up the customer service, setting up, the where she don't have to worry about like personnel issues necessarily, or she don't have to worry about training, at the beginning stages and all that sort of thing. So it's more of a complementary thing where it works out, and where I'm able to kind of see a business vision, and she can make sure that she's taking care of the people the way she wants to take care of them.
But also, I'll say that, it's very, like how we started was very important, right? If he had quit his job and then started working with me, we would have been broke, like completely broke. Right. Because a new practice doesn't make any money, right? It takes over a year to make any money. And so, it worked out, alhamdulillah, exactly how it was supposed to work out, because he was able to provide completely, because I was literally taking zero salary. I wasn't taking a salary. And so that was a big change. I went from making a lot of money to making no money. And so, alhamdulillah, he was able to provide that and support me in that. And knowing that if it failed, we would be in a lot of debt. We would, we purchased equipment, we signed contracts. And so, alhamdulillah, we did have, I must say that my uncle was in private practice for 36 years, and I did work with him when I first moved here to Oklahoma. So we did see a good example of longevity, alhamdulillah. So it wasn't all just like, well, I don't know about this. We've seen somebody here in this city that was able to make it work. And so, it was a blessing to be able to do it. There are hard days, and there are some times where I'm like, whoo, but the things that we're able to do because of the business of that business is great. Like we were able to give scholarships out to like our seniors graduating. We're able to donate monthly to like organizations and things like that through the business, through a business. And so once we got that stabilized, then Masood launched, Haqq ENT, which is a completely different business, but it's still similar in the sense of if you're starting a business, you contact him and he's consulting and he, sends you out to other people to help with your logos and your websites and your, all those things. And under that, of course, he's also writing his books and doing his film scripts and things like that. But it's like you have to take those baby steps. People want to just be everybody entrepreneur at the same time. Can't really do that.
Right. They're gonna be broke.
And it ain't for everybody. And that's another thing is like, today's culture, if you log on to Instagram or something like that, there's a million memes telling everybody to quit their job and be their own boss. And it's like,
create an LLC and then
LLC,
and then you're good.
1,400 LLC.
Start an empire. Like that's what everybody tells you. But I mean, there's always going to be a need for employees, and good employees are rewarded. And there is some peace in being able to just work, go home, and leave work at home. Like if you're an entrepreneur, like we be up 11:30 at night, kicking it, talking, like booed up, talking about business, talking about the employees and stuff like that. So I mean, it's definitely not for everybody.
So y'all be pillow talking about people about y'all employees.
Yeah, man.
So if they watching this, y'all watch, just know they talk about y'all positive.
Well, no, like for instance, we're hiring somebody, so I'm like, so do you like this candidate? What were their references? Yeah, right. I'm like, it's 11. Like, let's go.
I have a question though regarding like the family dynamics that you guys grew up in, because I know Dr. Noor, you were talking about how your family's different, like
royal family. I want to know
Oklahoma is, and I think a lot of times we need that that stability or whatever whatever the case may be. So from both of your perspectives, how was the family dynamics growing up, like parents, and was a successful I guess mindset, was that driven in you, or was that something that just organically happened, so to speak?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I want to know. I really want to know about Dr. Noor Jihan's family.
Yeah, okay, you want to know about my family? So,
yes, the royal family of OKC.
So actually, that's the interesting thing. So my mother's family. Okay, here we go. So my parents met at Stanford. Okay, my father is from Oklahoma, and my mother kind of lived everywhere, but grew up in Los Angeles. So my mother's family, they've been very blessed to where my great 3 grades, I think, grandfather was taught how to read as a slave. So therefore, he was able to document and to keep track of things that happened in our family. So we have a huge lineage on my mom's side, both her mother and her father, of these preachers who were educated, who wrote. And so they were able to buy land, and they were able to do things that other people couldn't because of to be honest with you, with these various churches, right? And my grandfather is 99, if that gives you an idea, the gap between me and, so he's 99. And then he's still very much, in his right mind, and can tell you stories and of our history. So because of that, our family's been very close, and we have family reunions. Our family gives away scholarships. Our family does all these things. And so it's really that push of education. My grandparents went to college. They went to Johnson C. Smith and Lincoln University. So for us, it wasn't a question of education or a question of, it's like you had to do better than each generation. So if my grandfather had to do better than his father's generation, his father had to do better than that generation. So it just kind of pushes all of us. And it's difficult, I will say, for some of our family members, because they're like, well, I don't necessarily have that drive per se, but it's almost expected. So it's like a double-edged sword, right? So, it's expected of us, and it's great, but it also can be very difficult for some of our family. Our family's really big. That's why my grandfather had 9 siblings that survives, to adulthood. But so that's kind of that. For my father's family is here from Oklahoma. It's very different dynamic though. He's one of 8 children, and his older brother went to college on basketball. And my dad then he played basketball at Stanford for a little bit, but he mostly did academics. And then their younger brother. But I don't think out of the 8, I can't remember anyone else necessarily who went to college. That wasn't really pushed. My grandmother was the daughter of a sharecropper, and she didn't go past 8th grade. So we had 2 very different dynamics, but she worked really hard. At one point, she was a single mom and cared for her 8 children. She did buy a home. She actually became Muslim as well. And so I was humbly I was able, so it was like a very different dynamic between the 2 sides of the family. But even her drive, like all of her children, did different things. They might not have gone to college, but one went to the Air Force or Army, and, one started businesses, different things that they would always do. So it was a different type of drive, not necessarily education, but to work hard and to provide for your family and do things and to have things to pass down. And so alhamdulillah, those 2 dynamics were great for me to see, because, everybody thought my dad, they're like, oh, he went to Stanford. He must have had this. And I'm like, no, my dad didn't. My dad was truly that lift yourself up from your bootstraps type of situation, and alhamdulillah, he's very smart. So he was able to use academics, but he was a beast on the basketball court as well. So he was able to kind of do both. And at that time, he went to Stanford. And so it's I won't say my mom and them, even though my mom went to Jordan High School in Watts. So even though, right, exactly. Right. So even though she went to Stanford,
right.
Oh, no. That was at a time in which Jordan still had good education, even though it was still pretty dangerous. I mean, she made friends with one of the gang members who would walk her to school every day, and that was the reality of her situation. So I'm able to see how that, that change of how you may not have had much, because my grandfather was a preacher and my grandmother was a preacher and a teacher. And so they didn't have a lot of money, and so they just really instilled in their children the importance of education, and that was how they saw success, right? From South Carolina, our family from South Carolina, that's really pushed. It's education is their success. And then for my family more here, it was like work ethic and working hard is your success. And so that's kind of my story, but it's not as royal as it may appear to be.
That's pretty royal.
Oh. That's a man. You need to write your book too, Masood. Give us a little bit of your background as far as your family, Masood, and what led you to where you at, and the inspirations behind some of the things and what you learned along the way.
So a big part of my outlook on how I was going to approach family and parenthood and adulthood in general was the fact that I was a child of divorce. So my parents got divorced when I was about 14, and I went from a straight A student to like a delinquent, that same year, like on the spot, right? Just because that gap in cohesiveness that it was normally there wasn't there. And then, as an early teenager, it's like you're trying to be rebellious, and then it's easy to be rebellious because both parents are kind of slipping, they got their own situations going on, trying to get settled and all that. So, our family, we're it's weird. It's like we're close, but we don't talk to each other all the time. You know what I mean? We're close, but we don't gather all the time. But, it's like an understanding more so than an affirmation, the way that we approach it. So when I witnessed how Jihan's family behaved, I was like, wow, that's dope. Like they're with each other. They call each other every day. They got, a text group going on different fronts and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, we're good if we talk once a month, most of us, you know what I'm saying? So, but I was like, I like the idea of being closer, you know what I mean? And I wanted that for my family. So because being a child of divorce, stepfather and all this kind of stuff, and he was cool, but I didn't want to be there. I moved out of the house when I was like 17, and I stayed out of the house from that point on. So it's just a lot to be said about, a family that can, inspire, nurture, develop well beyond, just that requisite 18 years or 21 years, and they continue to be, kind of a womb for each other. I like that, and I was like, I need to join a family like that, because this fractured stuff is weird. I got a sibling, in none of us are in the same state. We're in my parents. My mom is in Georgia. My brother is in New Mexico. One of my sisters is in South Carolina. Another one's in Virginia. Another one's in Cali. Another one's in Tennessee. And my pop is in Ohio. So it's like we all over the place. And that's like a good picture of like, kind of how our dynamic is. You know what I mean? So, being a part of a every day, every week kind of a family was important to me. And I was like, well, if I don't know how to do it from my own upbringing, I'm going to have to hitch my wagon to somebody who comes from that.
Yes. I did the same thing with my wife. It had to take me a couple times to know exactly what I needed, but I did the same thing. Alhamdulillah. And to feed off of that, like, was it a culture shock for you once you seen those type of things? Because you say you're from the West End, right? And I lived down there for a minute, and I'm from, where I'm from.
Harris
Homes. Yeah. I mean, I'm not from Harris Homes. I live down there. It's a nice place.
That's probably why they tore them down, because they were so nice.
Beautiful families to beat up your neighborhood. Just nice place. But no, I mean, just knowing, like, again, being child of divorce and seeing so much instability. I mean, Muslim marriages. See so much instabilities in the Muslim marriages, and off and on so much, like, it kind of get to a point where you're like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so, but when you run into something that's consistent, once you get mature, let's say that, and you see the understanding of stability and how much stability means to, the maturation of oneself and your children, it can change your whole outlook on life. So, like, explain like that, once you got a whiff of that, how did that make you feel?
Right. I mean, like, just as a student of history and a student of like what has been successful, I know that, things that are like wealth is accumulated over time, right? Like, if you're constantly hitting the reset button on your family, constantly hitting the reset button on your partner, then it's hard to build something that's sustainable, that's going to outlive you, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you want to have something that, it's like, of course, you're going to have differences and you're going to have, ups and downs and things like that. But if the core values are consistent and we know that, okay, the structure is solid, the foundation is there. You know what I mean? Yeah, I might want to put some different curtains on the window or something like that one day, and you might disagree with that. But that's not the structure. That we can work through that. Like, I'm gonna compromise certain things. She's gonna compromise certain things. But if we both know that our missions align and that we want the same things, short term and long term, then that's enough to build on. You know what I mean? Being a part of that, it wasn't a shock. Like, entering into it, it just felt like a blessing. It's like you marry the family. You don't just marry the person. You marry the mom, the dad, and everything like that. And that was a big part of it. Like, me meeting her family in Memphis wasn't just them evaluating me, it was also me evaluating them. Because if mom would have been crazy, or sisters would have been hating and all that, and it was just fitting everywhere, I probably would have been like, I don't know, maybe she's hiding those traits in herself. But definitely, identify a family that you can see yourself linking your family and your lineage to, in order to build.
So I have a question. With everything you guys do, because you guys do a lot, consulting and writing and being a doctor, and I know I see Dr. Noor talking to Dr. Fauci, and how do you guys make the time to actually continue to keep like a strong family bond with each other, to make sure that your kids see the love within the family and things like that, just to make sure that they get the best example of what, say, love should look like, so to speak.
I'll say we do a lot of, I mean, one, we take our kids a lot of places. So you may see us places with
Y'all better than me, because I don't take my kids nowhere. They're not coming. No. Wife be mad at me, like, let's go here. Okay, we can go.
Yeah,
Call the parents.
Sometimes, even at the clinic, I'll have them at the masjid next door, and then I'm checking on them and stuff. And so they kind of, but we like on Fridays and Saturdays, and Sunday, we definitely try to, we watch movies together. We sit down on the Maida and we eat. Like if we're eating dinner, we often will sit at the Maida and eat. For those who aren't Muslim, it's a mat.
Y'all do the hands too?
He and my son do.
That's that Tabliki stuff, man.
I know, not quite.
You're in America.
But it's the 3-finger one. It's not the Senegalese where you just push it up. Oh man, I can't do that.
Yeah. So we do things like that. But like we just took them to Cancun for a week. So we took in May we took them somewhere, and in September we take them somewhere. So we'll often just make sure we escape with them, and so that they're able to do that. And then I think a lot of times we try to make car time meaningful. I know that seems weird, but every time I turn around, my student, they're listening to a book in the car, or they learn the surah in the car. Like finding different ways of doing things. When we first opened the office, they used to come after school every day to the office. And so if I wasn't even have a patient, or if they were on spring break, things like that, like they're there with us. And so it's really, that part is really great in terms of being business owners, because if it's spring break and other people are having to send their kids. So sometimes we will send them elsewhere, but sometimes we're like, well, you just come up here, and so we get to see them and take them to lunch and do all those different things that they may not have been able to do.
And then they've got gymnastics, swimming, track, basketball, ballet, and those different sports and things. They have their own cultures, especially track. Like the whole track culture is like big time chilling for the parents. It's like you set up your little tent, you got your lawn chairs out there, your cooler,
and you start
there all day.
Yeah, all day in the sun, all day long. So, I mean, that is a definitely an environment that promotes family, and so alhamdulillah, we find those spots in the schedule where we're able to spend with each other, and then just kind of showing them that man and woman dynamic, me making sure that I'm respectful to her and deferential to her in certain things, and vice versa, and just showing them like what love looks like in the household, even if they're like, yeah, that's whatever, like they can see clearly that that there's love and there's respect there, and hopefully they can continue to carry that on when they get older.
Yeah, just tell them one day you'll want to hold someone's hand. Not today, but
another question I want for both of y'all, and then Noor, Dr. Noor Jihan, I want to know, like, you're a pediatrician, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that always a goal of yours, or something that you felt passionate from the beginning, or when you got in medicine, I don't think I want to do that.
No, I was, and people who hear my story, I'm very rare in the sense that I went into it wanting to do one thing, and that was, well, initially I was changed. I would say it was a little different. I wanted to be pediatric sports medicine, and just because a friend of a friend had passed away playing sports, and so that's what drove me. And so when I got into medicine and realized that orthopedics was kind of the thing, and I like surgery, but I know that I can't be a surgeon, and so I couldn't be a surgeon, and so I realized that sports medicine wasn't necessarily the thing; it just might have to be pediatrics. And then as I got in residency, I felt I was about to do behavior. I was about to do behavior and development. It was this person who specialized with autism and children like Down syndrome and stuff like that. I was about to apply for that fellowship, and then I don't remember. I just didn't. And then I was about to apply for an allergy fellowship. Then I was going to do emergency medicine, pediatric emergency medicine, all of these things. But then I realized I can't make up my mind. So I'm just going to be a general pediatrician and be able to kind of do all those things and work urgent care. So I worked urgent care for up until last year, actually. I stopped during COVID. And it's kind of weird for me because I'm used to like reading x-rays and suturing and all those things. And now that's I don't have that job, which is weird. But yeah,
she gets really strange and creepy when it comes to like open wounds. And she's like, ooh, she gets excited about like gashes and blood and all this.
Because I get to put them together. I like to sew, right? And put them together and make it look nice.
Humans.
Human. Yes. I mean,
you had operated when you was a kid.
That's why I thought I wanted to be a surgeon for the longest. And then I did all these extra surgery things. And like spring break during my 3rd year, I went to the OR every day during my spring break. I wasn't supposed to, right? They were like, we can't have you here. And I was like, well, act like I'm not here.
When you was in Florida, when you was like on actual spring break?
In Georgia. Yeah, I didn't go to like, I stayed at home and went to watch the surgeries like every day, which is weird. And I understand that, but I knew it was at that point that I knew I couldn't be a surgeon. So I wanted to be able to see as much as possible because I knew that it was too much. Like when people it was just too much. I mean, I know I talk about these other things, but like being in an OR and there's like blood everywhere and they're like, press their heart, crack their chest open. And I'm like, you want me to do what? Massage their heart? That's too much.
So let me tell y'all something, right? Like, so all that experience, in residency and in school and all that stuff, it led her to kind of be adverse to guns. And, I'm from the West End. So naturally, I had a couple of little tools on deck when we met. And so she was like, you have a gun? And I was like, yeah, well, guns, that kind of thing. So that was a interesting.
So she was a shooter off top, basically.
So she was averse because she's seen how like bullets tear bodies up, right?
Oh, she ain't like the
she didn't like the fact that I had a gun. But then once we started talking, like a couple weeks in, one day I guess the door got left open on her apartment, her little condo or whatever, and she gets home from work and it's like swinging open. The wind blew it open. And the first thing she do was call me, say, come over here. I think somebody's in my house, whatever. And then before she hangs, hey, Masood.
Bring the hammer.
Your gun. And I was like, oh, now you
hammer time.
So I got to come in like grandpa, clearing the corners. I was like, yeah, this is gonna get it right here,
Oh man. Check.
Oh, it's clear. It's okay, man. It's gonna be all right.
Oh man, not your G.I. Jane. It's all good, man.
Yeah, I was like tucking and rolling around the corner.
So back to the question, like, so that to jump off of what her passion and what led to her. What about you, Masood? Like, what actually led you to consulting? Like, how did you even get to that point and to know that you could just tell people what to do and get paid for it? Because
because people lead you to that, man. Honestly, and like when people want to pick your brain all the time, it's like all it really does is it's like I make sure that no matter what my job was, that I was conscious of the fact that I had one career. Whatever my job was, I'm trying to learn something from that. Like, I don't care if I'm working at the front desk at a hotel, I'm 16 years old. I had a problem, projecting my voice, right? I had a problem looking people in the eye. I had a problem speaking without a lot of pauses and and all that kind of stuff. So I used the front desk at a hotel at 16 years old to say, you know what, I get 50 opportunities to check people in. Those are interactions that I'm gonna have with a person. I'm gonna try to look that person in the eye. I'm gonna try to project my voice to the back of the line of the people who are waiting to check in, all that kind of stuff. It's a training ground, you know what I mean? Like, I had coworkers at that time, much older than me, and they were like going through the motions. They were just there for a check. But me, I'm like, look, I know I got these flaws I need to fix, so I'm gonna use these interactions to build myself up, in business. So that's what I did every step of the way with our world, with once I got into management, once I got into every different step, I was paying attention. So I was able to go back, and anybody who was going through the same path that I was just on, I was able to articulate like, hey, these are the specific things that you can do, in order to enhance yourself from this level to this next level. As a manager, the corporate office used to come down on me and say, you're more like a mentor than a manager. It was supposed to be like a bad thing, but I was like, thank you,
Right.
Appreciate that. Yeah, that's how I see myself, more of a mentor. So just that always being in the space to be able to articulate the steps that are necessary made people always want to come to me for advice. And, making it out the hood, so to speak, it also makes people want to come in and ask you advice on how to do this. Hey, can you come talk to these kids? Can you do this? And eventually, it's like people are coming to me for advice for a reason, right? People are coming to pick my brain for a reason. And in order to make sure that my time isn't just completely consumed by everybody else's whims and desires and stuff like that, I got to put a barrier of entry to those thoughts, a barrier of entry to picking my brain, and that's a price. And that makes me a consultant. And another thing that happened was like, I did all of the writing for, Our World and all that stuff back in the day. And I realized that I could do that and write for websites. And I was, writing copy for websites. I joined with a marketing agency, and I was writing ads and billboards and marketing copy for, radio and all that kind of stuff. And it did well, like junk mail, direct mail, all that kind of stuff. And, it let me know that I could write really well. And I started my copywriting business. And a lot of businesses would say, hey, how do you do, I want this result. I want X result. And I want you to take steps A, B, and C to get to X, right? And I'm saying, all right, I can write A, B, and C, but I don't think from my experience that the result is going to be X. So then the next question would always lead to consulting again. It's like the next question is, well, what do you think would work for me to get to X? And I was like, well, you didn't pay me for what I think. You're paying me for A, B, and C. So which one is it? So it's like so many contracts ended up going from writing to consulting that I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to build myself as a consultant, and the writing will come with it, and not vice versa. So it came organically. It wasn't something I was like 50. I would love to be a business consultant. It wasn't like that. It's just being aware of what your talents are, what your time is like, what you're being sought for, and then studying the industry and like, yo, people are getting paid out here for this. So,
right.
I'm gonna get paid.
What are you most passionate about? Oh, my bad.
Yeah, no, you go ahead because
so you do a lot. The consultants, you write, you do this. Like, if you had to just pick one to do for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
To me, it doesn't seem like a whole bunch of different stuff. And you sound like her, like, like to me, it's all the same. You know what I mean? My mind is like it all leads to each other because I'm a writer. Like if you ask me what is Masood, I'm a writer, right? So, but writers often die broke as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't know how to monetize writing. So the mouthpiece backs up the writing. The experience, the business experience, helps you to monetize that. But yeah, I mean, if I could just write and that's it, and it was all good, then that's what I would consider.
Now you say the writers die broke as hell. Do they? I didn't even know that.
A lot of them. Like the ones that we know are like
unless you're like a best-selling author. So unless you're a best-selling author, you normally got a big contract with a big publisher. That's how you maintain. Or I could be like Dr. York and just write books. You know what I'm saying? And just make up fairy tales, big Muslims with big old heads and pictures.
Yeah, the writing part is, it's just kind of like rapping, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you grow up in the hood, like every single writer who grew up in the hood tried their hand at writing, that I know, at least at rapping, right?
Facts.
But most people don't make money off of rapping.
They
Right?
showed.
Most rappers don't make money off of rapping. Like you can point to Jay-Z and Kanye and be like, see, rappers make a lot of money. It's like, nah, they made all the money that everybody else didn't make, right?
Including me. I don't lost probably like $100,000. Anyway, bro. No, I'm saying
it's not about you.
I had some relapses on some things and I had some bad investments. Go ahead, bro. You
I see a message in the comments. Sister Nafisa Abdul Rahim says in regards to consulting, how do I go about figuring out a price? And it's really just about understanding the market. Like you have to look at your competition. You have to look at what the market is dictating, looking at what the industry that you're in is dictating. And a lot of times, if you're dealing with established businesses, then you can have a price, like this is an hourly wage, this is my hourly rate is $125, right? But then how you bill those hours is completely up to you. Like some people, this is my hourly rate and I'm doing a consult for a nonprofit retreat. And they're so silly that they only bill for the 4 hours that they're at the retreat, but they don't bill for all the hours that they prepared for the retreat. You know what I'm saying? Like all the interviewing and trying to understand what the company is going through, what the group is going through, what they're hoping to achieve, all that kind of stuff can be 5-10 hours during the week preparing for it, right? And some people are just bashful to ask for, they say, oh, 125 times 4, give me $500. That's 4 hours, 120, but that's not it. Like you got to build for the whole thing. You got to build for all the prep time, right? So it's really just a matter of forming the audacity, of developing the audacity to ask. And you'll be surprised these organizations have that and they write it off and they're happy to pay it. So
how much would you charge the co-host, the guest host from Good Vibes with the Good Brothers?
You're reading my mind. So basically what he said is that how much would you give me on a discount off that you had on Groupon?
Nah, man, this is family, man. And then Jermaine came on and did his thing on my show, man. So you know what I mean? That's nothing. That's nothing. Just say the word and we make sure that the schedule's.
Well, you talking about brownages too. I mean,
I am talking about brownages. Let me
well, listen, and we got a big old box of brownages.
And my wife told me, my wife said that you came at I think the We Buy Black convention. And she said you came up and you spoke to her. I wasn't there. I guess not, because I don't recall.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so we'll definitely be reaching out to you, inshallah.
Yeah. It was so funny the other day because I had this little baby in, and I pulled out the little brownies, and they were like, "Oh," and I was like, "Yeah, here, take you, little box." There you go. I'm like, they donate, so make sure you go to their website and buy some more. But I really do appreciate that because they. It's interesting though. I have a weird skin tone, so I need to send y'all mine so we can figure out.
We got new colors now. So the box we sent you guys, those were the old colors, but we do have some new colors. So
yeah, because I was like, I got a weird skin color. I'm kind of in between, No, but that was pretty awesome to have those in there.
So speaking of, we are an hour in. I know you, Dr. Noor, you have a program you have to jump into within the next 30 some minutes. So we're going to shout out our sponsors, and we're looking for more sponsors. So I'm going to need you to help me out in that regard. We're going to kick it off here if you can give me some more sponsors so they can stop people trying to be free and always trying to be cheap out here. But anyways, we have one of our sponsors right here, my beloved brother, the founder of Brownages. Can you please give the people a little breakdown of Brownages and show them where they can go to get it and tell them who's down with it and who put you on and all that awesome stuff?
One of the things, it's hard for me to talk about my own stuff, but Brownages, we sell bandages the color of brown skin individuals instead of the pink ones that they normally sell us. But trying to do some big things, hopefully. So all we ask is that you guys continue to make duos for us and purchase a box or two. We got first aid kits. We got a 100% natural healing balm. So we're trying to expand our product line. So brownages.com. You can follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and the hashtag or whatever Brownages. So.
Weren't you guys doing like some clothes, like pajamas?
We do pajamas. We do
They were always
Pajamas,
sold out when I went. I need some pajamas. I was trying to get them.
Email us the size you need, and we'll make sure we take care of it. We got you.
Networking.
We got you.
I mean, that's one thing is that I think that we have really been into like networking. Like, how do we support other businesses? How do we connect people? I think that's kind of as we've gone along, because we've been married almost 12 years now. So it's like every year it's like, how do we connect
a billion Muslims,
new groups? How do we, this person, how can you guys work together? Like, they don't have to include us at all, but really just seeing more of us. I mean, it's just so much negativity and so many people tearing each other down and, not supporting each other. And we always talk about people, uplifting each other, but you really don't see a lot of that. Like you don't. You see a lot of more people stepping over each other. It's like, why do I need to step on you? Like, come on, let's see how we can improve. Let's see how we connect. How can we partner together so that we can really start building empires, and seeing businesses, be successful. I remember, I don't know if it was the first Brown, I'm not sure, but for years, like when we first got our children, the first container of them, they were so to see that excitement, and I was like, wow, this is a company that needs to continue to exist, if that makes any sense. Like, we should see things and say, how do we make sure that these things, persist? And so I know we like We Buy Black, we try to support, the things they do. I also a group called Hella Black, which is going to be another platform. And so, which is run by one of my sorority sisters and friends. But just seeing all these businesses and seeing what people are trying to do and doing our best to try to support them. And definitely, good vibes, we got to support that as well. But just figuring out how we can best uplift our community and our people is really, I think, kind of like part of our bottom line. It's like in our work, like, okay, we're doing these things, but also how can we make sure that other people are not taken care of? I guess I don't know what the correct word would be, but
I think a lot of it is exposure too. It's like, as we continue in business and we had some successes and stuff like that. More eyes are on you. So it's like, how do you divert that shine to other people? It's like, well, it's not just me, you guys. Like, check it out. I got a whole squad of people behind me that's doing even the same thing or greater. And that was one of my favorite things. Like, one of the favorite things that happened like during the series was the comments. Like people like, yo, I didn't know about this person, and that's so dope. And you see them interacting underneath or exchanging information, and now you see that they're friends, like people who would have never been able to connect had it not been for using the platform to shine a light on what somebody's doing. And that's what it's really about. It's like enriching the network and raising everybody's levels, as much as we can, because I know that we benefit from the same thing. Like right now we're on your platform, and there might be a person who didn't know any of the work that we're doing and is able to benefit in some kind of way. So that's what it's about. That's why we try to say yes to as much as we can, as long as it's in line with our brand, so to speak, and try to pay things forward that were given to us.
Speaking of paying things forward, again, got to shout out another one of our sponsors, Design Pro Web Solutions. Our brother Sher Kirk, another one of our born and raised Muslim brother, and he got a alhamdulillah beautiful business with his family going on. Another black family, alhamdulillah.
He's
to Africa, yeah.
Africa right now, yep. And they making it happen. They do all our they do our designs, they do our flyer.
They did our logo.
Did the logos. I'm about to do a couple logos for me. Furthermore, look them up at Design Pro Web Solutions on Facebook and Instagram. Also, you can email them. I believe, look them up on the email. I think the email is on their webpage.
He's a beautiful Qadi too. Like, he has a beautiful recitation.
So he just popping. You know what I'm saying? So
and his wife has a beautiful recitation as well. But people always be forgetting about Majid.
That's right.
Not really, but I'm just saying, like, the brother gets all the accolades and the sister's got the same education and knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
I haven't seen her.
I don't know, but I'm gonna take your word for it. So alhamdulillah, shout her out as well.
Right.
So alhamdulillah, if anybody got questions in the audience, please post them, and we will make sure that we'll try to get to them as much as we possibly can. But before some of y'all questions come in, this is what we're gonna do. I want to jump into Giants in my midst. I want to hear, because that's one important part of the whole series was my. So people, sometimes you be like, what? Who is that? And then once they read it, like, they give you. And then what stood out so much about it was they remember when we had the show on your show, how they were so like, he remembered that whole conversation. How do you remember that? But people don't understand, when you're a listener and you're an analyzer, like, everything you do is soaks in. Right. So you're always taking in game. So please give us because this, I mean, you was already a brother out here making major moves, but this kind of took you to another esteem as far as your prestige. And you know what I'm saying? Now you like really, really, really popping. You know what I'm saying? So took out more also at the background and gave you a little bit face on your work. So give us like a little bit of the inspiration behind Giants in your midst, aside of the story I told earlier about how your wife really set it off, but come a little bit more detail about it.
Yeah, I mean, like that was honestly, man, it was I was planned, like all that was planned. Like I preferred, the background and a lot of it had to do with, just being, I was an excellent student and I was kind of like a star always, I was always popular, all that kind of stuff. But it's like when you're around certain communities and stuff like that, they frown upon that, or they try to like, nurture it out of you, where they make you feel like you're not humble, or, what I mean? Like if you have a certain shine to you that, it's a bad thing, right? So for a long time, I was like, all right, cool. Like I know if I'm out front, there's a certain type of attention that's going to come to me, right? And like through my 20s, early 30s and stuff like that, I was real weird about like putting myself out there, because I knew as soon as I put myself out there, I got a certain type of attention, and I felt like that attention was bad. I wasn't really prepped to handle it, all that kind of stuff. So I positioned myself to be able to be a benefit and be in the background, helping to push other people forward and help them navigate stuff and really just kind of chill. But, as I got a little older, even parenting, it's kind of helped me understand this a lot more, because I got sons who've got some of those same qualities. I was like, I'm never going to try to nurture those qualities out of them. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like a thin line between, like vanity and ambition, right? It's like, I'm feeling myself, so I'm gonna go do this because I know that I can do this, right? Like, but if we look at it like vanity, then we like, this dude think he this, that, and the third.
That's that Muslim in you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
that Muslim be hating, man. That Muslim be hating sometimes, bro.
And so it's just make a conscious effort. Like, I don't care. I'm gonna just be me. I'm gonna be me out loud. I'm a put myself out there. I'm gonna display my talents. I'm gonna take a few pictures, let people know what I look like, that sort of thing. And then, what comes with it comes with it. But at the same time, it's like, it still had to be an exercise in humility, and it couldn't just be all about me, because I know that I've learned so much from so many people. So it's like, if y'all think I'm dope, let me tell you why. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me show you what helped shape me. Let me show you who inspired me. Even if that person don't know they inspired me, like, let me just get them their props, and tell a cool little story about them that kind of gives you a perspective of like, this dude has been in a lot of different places around a lot of different people. So who is he? You know what I mean? That was kind of what it was like. I don't want to just be like, hey, look at me, this is who I am. It's like, no, look who that person is. But the reader is going to be like, how does he know all these people? Like, why is it that he's always in these situations? So I thought it was a good angle to kind of like a biography that's not a biography. But that's literally how I think about people. Like, I try to think about the best things in people all the time. You know what I mean? And if there's somebody who I can't think good stuff about, I just try to stay away from them. So I'm not developing these intricate stories and memories about bad, because it's like, I just cut it off before it gets to that point. But people who I like, people who, I stand out about regular people, you know what I mean? Just because I'm like, yo, this person is so solid, you know what I mean? This person's character is so dope. And it's been like, even like in high school and stuff like that, I was supposed to be the popular one, but I would run into people 20 years later and I'd remember specific things about them. And they'd be like, how do you remember me? Like, I didn't even know you knew me. I was like, nah, you was always like this, and this. And they'd be like, whoa, so alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me with a good memory and a way of conveying it. So I was like, this is the best way to use all these talents and introduce myself as a writer, so that when the book comes out, people aren't like, why is he writing a book?
Right. A couple of the things that I enjoyed about the series, number one is normally Black History Month, you hear about the same,
same
Rosa Parks, and shout out to Carter G. Woodson for what he did, but it's the same people. So I did enjoy hearing different stories from individuals within the community and some outside of the community, but these giants, like you said. So that was that definitely was that was nice. That was, and I also like the fact, and it's something that we need to do more, which is just bigging up other people, because sometimes we have the tendency to not do that. And I remember once, so I'm
genuinely too. That's the main thing.
I remember reading one of your posts, and I'm talking to my wife, and I'm like, this dude can, like, he's a great writer, like straight up. And she was like, yeah, Masood. I remember one time he wrote something about making wudu and how to explain why it is that males, we put so much water on the floor. I don't know what she was talking about, but she was like, yeah, he was great. So I had to like, hold on, baby. Like, I am still the man in this house. He could have used a couple commas here, some punctuation marks. He's not the greatest writer. But like, you have a talent, and I think that was great. And it was great that you were, again, bigging up other individuals. And as Dr. Noor Jihan was saying, one of the things that we need to do is just support more people. And I think even your series, your sister, Dr. Noor, she was like an international business consultant or something like that. And we're trying to get in the international market. So we're like, we got to reach out to her. So a lot of times it's just a matter of us knowing knowing who the people are,
right?
That we can reach out to.
And I think that it's important we always go to the same, even large entities for things, right? When there are smaller entities. And I mean, that's the beauty of social media, right? Or the internet, World Wide Web, is that you can now do business with people in other states and countries and continents. But it's also helps to see, like, not reinventing the wheel, or how we can partner, as you said, partner with other people. Like, oh, they're already doing this, so how can I get over to this? And seeing those things is very important. I know that with his writings, and when you see the next book, it's going to. I haven't read it, by the way. I don't get to read anything. But no, he let me read like 2 pages. So I can't say anything.
That's good.
But the stories, as he's been talking to people and getting these stories, it's going to be very fascinating. And I think that it'll shine a light on a group of people that often don't get a spotlight. When we speak of the Black Muslim communities, especially, or even a lot of African Americans, it's always the same stories, as you all said. It's always not just historians, but even the stories within our communities. And so I think it's nice to be able to see and expound upon who we are, because if, as people always say, if we don't write our history, someone else will.
Yeah, and I do think that I've seen like a little bit of a change in my timeline, where a lot of people are trying to kind of emulate that, where they're less ashamed of like just giving somebody props for no reason. Like, I'm starting to see a little bit of, and it might just be me tripping. When you get a blue Mustang, then you start seeing a bunch of other blue Mustangs. But I like to think. I
got a Tempo, but it's a Ford Tempo, 1992 Ford Tempo. So I don't know about the Mustang part, but
you got some 15s on that
inshallah.
One, you got some 15 and some white and some mayonnaise tires on them boys. So don't.
Right. So I mean, look. Hey, see, look. Tariq Torre, right? He's in the. I've never met him, but man, I love that brother, right?
It's my brother, man.
You know what I mean? Like, I hear the comments talking about that, and to me, that's just dope, man. And it's never ending. You know what I mean? Like that book could go on forever. You know, I'm up to 40 now. They wanted it to flush, the publisher wanted to flush it out a little bit more. Obviously, I had 28. The Facebook version was always the heavily edited and chopped up version. So, you know, the book will have the full version of the stories, maybe 2 stories for some people. And I've added 12 more. We can expect the book, inshallah, in June. So that's what we're looking at for that one. And then there'll be more later on down the line, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. So we got about 15, 20 minutes to go. So again, for people out there who got any questions, please do not be scared to pose a question. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just reading them myself. I'm just answering it.
And alhamdulillah, man. But this has been a very, very dope, man. It's been dope. You know, and then shout out to everybody who donates or want to donate. You want to donate us? Click on look at the bar at the end and you can look at them numbers. And then, you know, it can be from $5 to $500, whatever you want to do. It's appreciated. Because our time ain't free. But again, we appreciate y'all. And alhamdulillah, man. Rashid, you got any insight on what you got out today and what you look forward to from this?
I want to shout them out again because I know you guys are always looking to support people. So I remember on when Jermaine was hosting your platform, you had the paintings on the back. I think those was Sister Imani's.
Right.
Are those hers as well? Or
no, those aren't.
No, this is actually a local sister. Yeah, this is a local sister, I believe. No. This is a sister out of Texas. We bought at a fundraiser. Alhamdulillah.
So our typical like Zoom spots are, you know, backed by Imani's posting, but we wanted to sit together. This is the closest place we could do it. But I mean, and that's another thing, man. Alhamdulillah, like there were so many people who were featured in the series, and like almost like right after their post, like they took off. You know what I mean? Like some big announcement came. Like Cornell, you know, he got his
right
with Birmingham like right after that, and he had a big write up in the Birmingham newspaper like a couple of days after. I think Imani heard her series, or
it's in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, like she got picked up by a Manhattan art gallery, and
she killing
it. Yeah. So, you know, it's good to kind of be like, yeah, those people, other people will recognize, but a lot of them came on the show and said that the recognition that they got from us, you know, meant more to them. So, you know, we can't ever lose sight of that, and making sure that, you know, just because February is over, or just because, you know, I'm not using the hashtag anymore, it's like we still have to keep that mentality of like giving people their props and giving people credit for the work that they're doing, so that they're not looking for validation from outside entities. You know, they're getting it first from their own community.
Dr. Noor Jihan, we have a rapid fire question for you. Are you seeing an increase in African-American students going to medicine? From our brother Khalid Ahmed.
So African-American women, yes. African-American males, no. So that's a really big issue. African-American Muslims, sorry, no. Necessarily no. There are not a lot of us. There are not a lot of African-American Muslim, especially, I would say, African-American born and raised. Right,
converts for the most part.
Well, I won't even say that. Just African
international students, and
majority of the
Africans
and physicians, to be honest with you, are Caribbean and from various African countries. I mean, you know, to be honest with you, or their parents are. But to actually be descendants of slaves in America, we don't have very large numbers. And then when you add Muslim on top of that, we don't have a ton. And I will say it's not an easy path. And I'm seeing a lot of deterrence. People are saying, oh, we'll just become a nurse practitioner because you can still, you know, you might be able to have your practice or become a PA. It's faster, it's quicker. And it's all true. It is faster and quicker. But at some point, we can't have a healthcare system that is run by people that have only done 2 years of schooling, you know? And so it's like, yes, ours is 7 instead of 2, which, I mean, I get it. But it's like, how can we push more people, especially Muslims? Because the Muslim community is often very fearful of medicine and fearful of Western medicine, and we don't want to do things. And so we'll listen to people who have zero training, you know, in healthcare or did 1 year online.
Nothing. They watch YouTube. Let's keep it all the way G. They watch YouTube conspiracy theories, and they rather set up shop selling turtles. So they rather tell you to sell some turtles.
Don't talk about my side business, Jermaine.
That's our side business. Don't play. But we don't discourage people from selling. For going to get a degree. We just let them know that the turtle business is popping. You know what I'm saying? But
what is up with the turtle thing? Bro?
I know it's always a turtle business, right? But you know, and that's the thing. It's like trying to we there are a few of us who like have tried to just encourage a little bit more and provide those opportunities. And I think it's important, you know, if we ever want to have our own hospitals, you know, and things like that, like we have to make sure that we're bringing in the youth and the people who are still interested in becoming physicians, even though it's a longer. Oh, can I start one? Ooh, that would be hard. To be honest with you, it's not easy. But I personally am not.
Have you tried though?
But Khalid, I definitely, you know, if you want to be paired with some other people who might be interested, you know, inshallah, that's the case. But I think those organizations and creating things are great, mentorship opportunities, but you also have people who just are interested, right? Mm-hmm. I have an open door policy for people to intern at my office, right, who are interested in becoming physicians. I've had 2, 3 in 6 years, almost 6 years.
Is it more so because the exposure or because some of the stigmas that Muslims, and I say Muslim, I'm saying it just how I'm going to say it, because we got a certain mentality that some of us has grew up thinking that they're so anti that to a point that it's just really kind of boxed them out of the world as in existence of reality, like real reality, and not just, you know what I'm saying, Muslim or boxed in mentality of thought. Like, do you believe? Well, I know Masood, you probably we on the same page, but we don't seen some. We don't.
Yeah, I heard it. Like, oh,
yeah, you know what I'm saying.
All you need is Allah and His Rasul. That's it.
But Dr. Noor Jihan, you come from a whole different dynamic. You know what I'm saying, as far as like a family consistent lineage of like scholars. Even though you got both sides, but you come from a family of education, and you know what I'm saying. So, do you see? Like, how can we be more impactful as far as bridging the importance of, especially now in the community that mostly our communities of Black Muslim communities is extremely poor, and because we lack. I say most, not some certain community, but we lack just workers. You know what I'm saying? Not even just from education standpoint, but people with any type of levels of skills, even people skills. Like, what do you see? We
have to do a lot more in terms of mentoring, especially within our masjid. And I know that Masood's always making, you know, when he's doing khutbahs and things, he's always saying, if anybody wants mentorship help, you know, let us know. Like, I'm reaching out. Anybody want to do this? You all had, you know, Baina, you know, on last week, and Baina, we talk often about Camp Khalil, and I'm always trying to get youth to go to that. And they've even had some of their youth reach out to me about mentorship, you know, creating those types of relationships. But just a lot of people, and this is, you know, I know we're going to be wrapping up soon, but I think that sometimes we have a mentality, we're almost afraid of our children doing better than us. And I see that a lot in our community. It's like, oh, you don't need to do that. You're fine doing what I'm doing.
Like, what's wrong with what I do?
That's just not the Muslim. That's the Black community in whole.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
We got 4 generations in the projects.
Right, and so that's a mentality that we as Black people have to be able to overcome. And I say descendants of slaves in America because you don't see that with our Caribbean brothers and sisters. You don't see that in our African brothers. It's completely different. The parents expect you to be better, and I don't know how we got into that position of almost a jealousy of seeing that. You know, that our children doing better than us. And I see it so many times. I see so many youth who when we were mentoring and we were like, they had this promise. and then you could see that their family wasn't giving them the support
Right.
that they needed.
No, and that's kind of what I was saying without saying it when I was talking about the humility thing. Like a lot of times, humility is used as a weapon for people who low key are hating on the youth.
Yeah.
You got to be more humble than that, young man. You got to be, you know what I mean? Like humility means turn down your light, dim your light for me because I'm intimidated, or you're making me realize what I didn't do. You know what I'm saying? And we got to get out of that mentality. And
I think just also having more examples will definitely help.
Especially in our community, we need professionals.
Especially like out of undergraduate, I actually got accepted to a medical school, but I didn't go. And honestly, if I were to sit here and say why, it could be because I don't know if I was scared. So I have no idea why. But I think if I saw more examples of the doctors in our communities and things like that, that may have altered my decision whether or not to pursue that or not. So I think just having more examples, I think definitely will be a benefit to the community.
One of the major motivating factors for us moving from Atlanta to Oklahoma was I wanted to get my degree. And because I was doing a lot of good things, without any degree at all. And I had bagged a doctor. So, a lot of people said I was sitting pretty. But I was like, so I was like, no, I want to do this. I want to get it done and just prove to myself, first of all, that I can finish something that, I start that takes 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I don't know how long it took me. But not only that, it was like when we were moving, I found a shoebox full of acceptance letters, recruitment letters from like MIT, Duke, Brown, Cornell University, Harvard. Those are the kind of, my SAT score was that high. And I remember like thinking like, I didn't even remember them because when I presented them to the elders in my family, it was just met with like
you don't need that.
Yeah, whatever. It wasn't like if they would have been like, oh, that's so dope. Let's call these schools. Let's go. Which ones do you want to visit? Then I probably would have gone. You know what I'm saying?
But your grandfather was very excited.
Yeah, that's true.
His grandfather was very excited. He was in Boston.
So it was weird for me, like packing up and moving to Oklahoma to go attend the University of Central Oklahoma, and then finding that thing. I was like, man, I got to make sure that this doesn't happen for the people.
Maybe that's what I need to do.
Right.
That's what
and like I said, like I was doing fine without it. It's not for everybody, but for me, it was like it was just a proving ground. It was a feather from my cap. It was something I did learn a lot there. Like, I'm never one of those people who like, man, I ain't need that Western education. Like, nah, I learned a lot about business in business school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just wanted to run the streets, but
right.
It pays off. You know what I'm saying? It paid off, and I got a regular job doing being regular. But I'll be like, we gotta wrap this up, man. I appreciate y'all. We normally run this time the good word, the good doc, but the doc is sick, so I need y'all to please make dua for him. In the meantime, like I said, I'm gonna give a little talk. We gotta really have representation of this type of representation in our neighborhoods. As a kid growing up, in certain neighborhoods we grew up in, we didn't have this. We didn't see professionals. You know what I'm saying? We didn't see professional couples. We didn't see a lot of things in certain neighborhoods I was in. We saw the dope boy. We saw the ball player. You know what I'm saying? We saw the hustler. We saw different entrepreneurs, but education was something that wasn't really people were really enthused about. And I know growing up in the 80s and 90s, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't, in the hood, it was all about get it how you live and survival of the fittest. But for the most part, as you grow and you mature and you see the importance and you study more, you see the importance of family. And one of the most important things about families, especially the Black family dynamic, is that and stable Black family dynamics is that that's where a lot of our wealth come from. If you study anything about wealth building, things like that, you normally say that a man got a wife and they build their wealth with each other. So everything I read, you know what I'm saying, it was all every book that I read from it always talk about God, giving back, and the family. Every single book I read dealing with wealth building. And so a lot of times it don't mean you're gonna be a millionaire, but you have stability. And when you have stability, you have something to fall back on. So we definitely need to have more eyes and more representation of people of our hue in our communities, of doing the small things. Let these people know, let the young kids know. We got to get the younger kids where they at, meet them where they at, as far as just let them see the representation of love that's in front of them, and then let them know that love do exist in our communities and success exists in our communities without being the typical hood star. You know what I'm saying? So, and not just from the hood perspective, just anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Living in the burbs, just different things you got going on. So, on that note, do y'all want to give a simple words of encouragement? I know you got to go, so give simple words of encouragement. What's up, little man? Up, nephew? Hey man, real jiggy. I see you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, do you want to say some parting words for the people, inshallah, that we can call it a day?
I say thank you so much for having us, and this was a great discussion. Inshallah, we can continue to have these. And my only advice is to, always, if you have a dream, don't allow it to be what we say, a dream deferred, and then also encourage others and realize that everybody can shine in this world.
It's beautiful. Smooth.
Yeah, man. I mean, make your list, have your criteria, have know what you want, go after that, and just when you make dua, understand that it's going to come back to you in ways that you can't fathom, because Allah doesn't think like you think, right? So just be steadfast, have your criteria, have your standards, and make sure that you're just building on them all the time. That's how we get to the success. That's how I've gotten to success, and that's the only way, honestly.
Rashid, what you got for us, man?
Just make sure you have a strong foundation. One of the things I love about Masood and Dr. Noor Jihan is they good people. I've never met them in person, but I know honestly, 5 or 6 years ago, me and the wife, we were looking for a place to vacation to, and I'm pretty sure Dr. Noor Jihan was like, "Oh, we got a timeshare in Cancun at the Villa del Palmar," and I don't think we used it, but just them being willing to share that with people that they've never met, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you can see, is taking care of them. So just make sure you continue to have a strong foundation, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide, so to speak. And I just sent my wife a text. I said, "I like your posture." She sent me a question mark back, so I don't think it had the same effect.
But, don't try this at home. Don't marry Barry.
Appreciate y'all. Shout out to the good vibes, to the good brothers, for even letting me come on here and doing this. So, and shout out to you also.
Alhamdulillah,
continue to
appreciate y'all.
Good time.
Alhamdulillah, appreciate y'all. I love y'all, man. Keep up the good work and keep having us believing and knowing that we got some people to look up to and look forward to. Alhamdulillah. And again, good vibes, good brothers. We about to sign off. Masood, you want to give us you give us a dua closing out, inshallah? Oh yeah, please donate to the Good Vibes Good Brothers. And if you'd like to sponsor, please email us at goodvibesgoodbrothers@gmail.com.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
Have a good one, y'all. Enjoy the sunshine.